Oh, come on. Okay, now we're live. That was weird. Interesting technical, I don't know what, but all right. Well, let's see check the audio to see how that's working. Cool. All right. So for this stream, which I haven't finished doing the publication thingy, just realized that I posted a link on Twitter, and I think that was it. I need to go finish. Hmm. Hmm. Okay. Yeah, though it would probably be to my benefit to um plan this a little better. Whatever. Mm, mm, mm. All right. Well, that's enough of that. So today's task: actually decide what to fill in for this. See, this here is a breakdown of how many of which kind of space will go on each of these sections of the game board. It's very vague, but it is planned out to give you the right numbers of things that are going to be put in. Like Ring 1 has four sets of properties, each of which only has two properties in it. Okay. Ring 2, eight sets of properties, each of which has three properties in it, and so on and so forth. These here are the parts letting you know what the starting value of all of the property groups is. So if a group starts at 100, you know, I decided, and this is different than Monopoly, that for the property groups with only two properties in them, I would actually have them at the same price for each. I might rethink this later. there is the possibility that will change it. So it's like 40, 50, 60, 70, something like that. I was originally going up in smooth 20 point increments, but I kind of bifurcated that later so that like certain property groups kind of sort of reuse values from other property groups because there's so many property groups. It's just ridiculous. Oh, hey, another person selling views. Sweet. At least I have some attention. Anyways, well, it's like I came up with some rather erratic, I guess is one way of putting it, things to do with some of them. Also, I just realized that part of this is actually incorrect. Yeah, ring 4C, that's the corners, which yes, like some of the things that I have in listed in ring 4 are actually in ring 4C. Like the actual like corner spaces are in are in 4C because oh wait, to show you, I need to switch to the spreadsheet. Oh wait, no, 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 never mind. Okay. I'll open. I don't know. I should have had this prepped ahead of time, but I forgot. Anyways, so we shrink this to 50%. Let's go down actually, no, it's going down some. Okay, and unhide. Hmm. Oh. Dang it, I had to cough again. Whatever, here, I'll just hide this. Okay, so now, see here, I actually decided that I wanted to make these as railroads. Does this mean I will end up with effectively 8 railroads in the entirety of Ring 4? Good question. I'm not haven't I need to reconsider that. I did, however, start putting cab companies on various places on the board. But I started placing cab companies and realized like, oh wait, I haven't actually even figured out what exactly all of the things I'm going to put in are. And then it's just like, yeah, I decided I needed to finish the layout. This part here is white because I was kind of like using it as a scratch pad. I like paste things in and like trim them and rotate them to get them to look right before copying them to other places. Anyway, so we go back to this, we see that the corner spaces which are these things here, were listed as part of the main part of 4. Well, 4C is actually these sections here. I decided to have the corners be like a sub ring sort of thing. It's like the main ring part is just like these things from here to here. And then you have these as the 4B sub ring. Why did I decide to do that? Solely so that I could put a color group in the corners and have it laid out as if the corner was a separate section of board in and of its own right, and not just a part of the side. That's it. Because like the color group that I'm going to have here will actually be the same color group before and after go. So this here and this here, same color group. Anyways. Yeah, so 4C, each of those is going to have 4 groups in each of those color groups. 4B, each of those color groups is going to have 5 in it, which in hindsight is a mite over ambitious, but whatever. The math says that it works that way, so whatever. Because like, wait. Yeah, the thing I was saying about math. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. I was actually thinking at one point about having these here be railroads, and like having 4B be the only sub ring that has railroads in it. But then I realized that the way I did the mathematical allocation of things, I actually won't have room for railroads if I do that. So that those need to be. I also don't want those to be like color group spaces, although I might change my mind about that. Having those be non-color group spaces when 5 out of the 7 territories in each of these pieces of subring is going to be a color group is awkward. Yeah, awkward's the best word I can think of for that. Anyways, yeah, because like each of these arcs here will have 2 non-property spaces. Only 2. Only 2. That, yeah, that's a thing. I could make these property spaces. I'm going to have to make a template for angled property spaces anyways, because I'm going to do all of these. Which, conveniently enough, all of these are exactly the same size because it's a cell that I copy-pasted repeatedly. Anyway, though. Okay, so back to the thing. I need to set out all of the names of all of the things. Like here I have the yeah, I put it in ring 4B that I was going to have railroads, but no, those are not railroads. Actually, I might even change my mind about whether these are gray spaces. Gray spaces are things on okay, they're not going to be marked gray on the actual board. On the actual board, I haven't actually gotten that far yet. I did have some sort of marking I wanted to have for places that will start with a re-roll token on them or roll modifier token, but I'm not planning on having that done by marking the space in gray. Anyway, though, The gray spaces are the ones that are the meeting point, where the spoke meets the subring. Like these are the ones I marked in gray. I was thinking about having them be railroads, but in hindsight, that doesn't work with the composition I had set up, so can't do that. I do think it's a neat idea, but it would need me to redefine what stuff I'm putting in the subrings. Anyway, so what are we going to do? Well, one thing that's a major question is like filling in the property names is no big deal. I will get have to actually, figure out what exact names I want to have for each property at some point. But I can do that as I'm, drawing them on the board. I don't need to do that right now. I just need to decide which spaces are going to be properties. Like this thing here, this is one of those things I was talking about with like a special space where the first time you land on it, you would get a white card. White card is what I'm using as a name for the reroll tokens. Because in hindsight, the reroll tokens, I feel like they should be like physically smaller than a standard card, so that you can actually place them on the board in setup. Which means that they would need to be like 1-inch squares or something, which works. Like little bits of cardboard, like a 3x5 card that's a 1-inch square. Totally doable. Anyway, though, like with this one, this space though is like this space. You would draw a token every time you landed there, and whoever's the first one to land there would get 2 of them. These are things here though. It's like these are spoke spaces. Like the spoke spaces always have some special function, like roll again, lose a turn, draw a token thingy, um, or something else. Like I might put squeeze play in one of them because like so certain of the spoke arms are actually very long. So I'm going to have to put more than just like 1 or 2 things into them, and I haven't decided exactly what those are going to be yet. I did, however, compile a massive list of things to put in as special spaces. Some of them are actually rather boring. Like there's the classic free parking doesn't actually do anything at all. Go get $200 from the bank. Now, one thing that I've been thinking about is like salary is going to always be drawn from the bank. Like all of the various salary spaces will draw from the bank. Some of the other spaces where you get money, like Texopoly, done deal, collect $150. I think that might actually be coming from the cash pool, unless the cash pool is empty, at which point it comes from the bank. Where like pay $300 or 15%. That you pay to the cash pool, and whoever like certain spaces will explicitly say that they give you a percentage of what's in the cash pool, and that will give you a certain percentage of it, which only applies if there's actually money in the cash pool. Like if there's $20 in the cash pool and you get 50% of it, well, that's $10. But it's solely based on exactly on what's in there. Oh yeah, some of these are things that I decide I don't want to use. So you know what? I'll just mark those in reds to remind myself to ignore them. Okay, so roll 3. After trying it out, I decided I hate it because of the fact that it's an overly complicated system for a trivial benefit. See, you get these cards that have numbered dice on them, like a 3, 4, 1, or something like that. Now, whenever someone rolls the dice and gets that combination on the dice when they roll the dice, that allows you to turn in your roll 3 card in order to get a amount of money for the roll 3 card. Here's the thing, it's a trivial amount of money. It's not worth the work of having the freaking cards printed out and actually bothering to use them because of the fact that rolling, like, okay, squeeze play. Squeeze play accomplishes a more interesting effect for a lot less rules weight. So I would actually consider it a benefit to have 2 squeeze play spaces on the board and just leave roll 3 out of existence completely. One thing that I liked about Ultimate Monopoly was having 3 different versions of Go. Like, you have the standard classic Go, where it's a flat $200. Cool, whatever. Then you have 2 others that are kind of sort of conditionally better, but it's not a major difference, just something to make it not exactly the same. I decided, okay, another thing is that Megaopoly. One thing with Megaopoly that is in some ways lame, but also in some ways fun, is the fact that in Megaopoly, the prices double or halved. Like you have like the original Monopoly is the central ring. You have an inner ring and an outer ring where the prices are doubled or halved depending on which it is. But also the start spaces in Megaopoly have different values depending on which ring they're in. It's like regular is 200, of course. The inner ring is only 1, and the outer ring is 400. So I decided I wanted to borrow from that idea because I liked it. I thought it was a great idea. So I defined the start spaces on the board as having different values, which I did actually write out in here. Like in ring 4, when you go pass it and get money for it, you get 300 if the roll you had for going past it was odd, and 400 if even. Now, I have a die roll modifier card in here as one of the white cards. That its sole function is to change whether or not the die roll that you rolled is construed as odd or even. Why? Because of stuff like this, but also because of the way that you determine which direction you move when you're going to intersections. Because like when you go to some place like this or this, whether you go straight or change direction is determined by whether the roll is odd or even. It's a simple way of doing it. And it occurred to me that having roll modifier cards that where the entire purpose of that is to mess with it, which direction you move is something I thought would be fun. And also I thought it would be fun to let you play those on your enemies. Oh yes, that is totally a thing I did in this one. I like it. So anyway, though, again, it's one of those things I put in because I thought it would be a neat idea and something players would enjoy, at least to a certain extent. Because let's face it, the entire point of playing them on other players is to screw them over, or maybe help them if you're feeling generous. Which realistically, this is Monopoly. People are usually cutthroat lunatics. Generosity, no. Being generous is how you lose. Anyways, moving on. So yeah, it's like being able to play one to screw your opponent out of $100. That's trivial pocket change. playing one to cause your opponent to go, instead of going 1, 2, 3, 4, to instead go 1, 2, 3, 4. That might actually hurt your opponent rather badly. I don't know. Maybe I'll make this with like a lose a turn space, so that getting diverted to go this way would, actually ruin your day. I mean, well, okay, your day is already ruined because you're playing Monopoly, so, whatever. Might as well lead into that. Anyway, back to figure out layouts. So, ring 4B. I actually made this chart in between this and the last time I did a stream. I honestly could have just streamed myself making this chart. I didn't actually do any streams last week at all working on this. I would work on it off stream, but not on stream, and I really should have just streamed myself working it. Anyway, though, these here are recordings of what I decided I wanted the property values to be. See, because like the gradual progression of property values going up, I decided I wanted that to be confined to the main rings. Like the sub rings don't represent property values going up, they're just slightly different off property values, which I decided to apply to ring 4C because, quite frankly, the prices on the ring 4 would be utterly ridiculous otherwise, and they already go up above 1,000. Having them get even worse would be ridiculous on another level. No, seriously, like having, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, now 12 times 20. Okay, that's only 240. So I guess it would bring it up to 1,300 as the most valuable property on the board instead of 1060. Wait, no, actually the most valuable property on the board would be 1080. So 1320. I like it better at 1080. Yeah, it's just, at a certain point we just don't want to make the properties more expensive. And on a board this large, like having people run out of money is a real possibility during the early stages of the game. It is actually something I heard someone do about a Monopoly variant from long ago. It's like just like a different way to play regular Monopoly. Have the cash you give people when you start the game. People suddenly stop vacuuming up everything and like a Pac-Man wandering around the game board and start thinking about whether or not they actually want to buy things because they suddenly don't have enough money to just hoover up everything. Anyway, though, so, okay, so what are actually going to be all the special spaces that I actually use? All right, so I'm going to copy this. It won't let me do a copy unless it's a simple box. Yeah. Fine. I'll do this simple box and... never mind. Just easier to do it this way. So, ring one, two special spaces. Have I actually done anything on the ring one special spaces? Oh, right. Also, I need when I'm thinking talking about special spaces in this context, non-go corner spaces count as special spaces for this purpose. I should also put in liberal helping of go to jail spaces on the board, but not necessarily in corner spaces. Hmm. Yeah. See, I have it listed on here. Go to jail. Okay. So yeah. Keep hitting Alt Tab. No. So one, two, three, four, five. Yeah. Corner spaces only for the main rings, and for the corner spaces will give you money. What do the other ones do? Random stuff. This is actually one of those things that varies quite a lot depending on which version you're playing. Like traditional Monopoly, you have go, free parking, jail, and go to jail. With, of course, the jail technically being two spaces because there's in jail and just visiting. Wiki-meow. Other versions have weirdly random things. Ultimate Monopoly has two of the corner spaces being taken up with what are essentially warp zones. And a third that is a teleport to anywhere on the board you want to go space. Both of which sound like things that I would actually be interested in using. Oh, yeah, also stock exchange. After pondering stock exchange, I decided I wanted to have multiple stock exchanges on the board simply because of the fact that um stock exchanges are the whole stock system was lame and boring when it only triggered when someone landed on a single space on the board. Having monopoly or chance and community chest cards that interact with the stock system was good. I was actually thinking about making it so that the orange things are specifically related to the stock system, but I'm not sure about that anymore. I this is actually just. I'm actually seriously considering having the orange ones actually be these transit vouchers because the transit vouchers actually do interesting things. Like the free cab fare ones that only add like a limited number of spaces to when you move. I think I'm going to use that function as one of the things that you have on the die roll modifier cards and not make travel vouchers for them. Also, I'm going to make travel vouchers generally harder to get so that you actually have a reason to want to go to the orange spaces on the board to get them. All right. Dup, 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 dup. File, open. Uh, uh, by orange spaces, I mean this. Because like this is like the prototype board layout that someone else made and never actually finished. Just like a thing he made as a proof of concept, however many years ago, and just like dumped onto the internet and completely abandoned. Anyway, though, he has 5 different colors of cards draw spaces on the board. I said that the yellow ones would be things related to movement. So, like, um, yeah, okay, that's actually an interesting point. I decided. I think the yellow ones should actually be the travel vouchers. Orange ones being specifically related to the stock exchange, though. I'm not sure what to have these as being have this. Yeah, I know. I'm having an indecision. Anyway, though, I decided I want to actually have the orange spaces on the board and how many of them I want. It's just no longer certain on what I want them to actually do. Anyway, the blue, green, and brown spaces that I said I wanted to have them be the equivalents of chance and community chest. It's just that, okay, in the original Monopoly, chance and community chest were actually drastically different in modern Monopoly. Something I actually learned while researching it for this purpose is that at some point in Monopoly's history, they moved certain cards from the chance deck to the community chest deck and vice versa, making it so that, and the original chance, while not universally bad, was generally bad. Community chest was, while not universally bad, or not universally good, generally good. Both of them had a go to jail card in them. Both of them had a get out of jail free card in them. But that was the only thing they shared in the original version is the go to jail and get out of jail free cards. Only thing they shared. Anyways, switch back to this. Oh, I forgot to whatever. Anyways, moving on. Um, hmm. Yes, the current problem with the orange thing is like I'm not sure what I actually want to have those cards do. Oh yeah, another thing that was interesting about Ultimate Monopoly is that in Ultimate Monopoly, the travel card system, because the fact that it's set up to have other vouchers expire on several of the cards, made it so that the travel vouchers were far less useful for their seeming purpose of speeding up the early game. Because like it basically meant that like having a travel voucher meant that use it now while you still can, as like the underlying theme of having them, and just kind of Also, one of the basic rules in Ultimate Monopoly related to travel vouchers is that each travel voucher, there is no discard pile for travel vouchers. Any travel voucher, once used or discarded, goes back into the game box, never to be seen again. So that at some point in the game, there aren't any travel vouchers left. And having travel vouchers that kill the other travel vouchers, just why? I didn't like that part of it. I haven't decided what I want to do with it yet. However, one major consideration that I came up with is okay, one of the ways to get a travel voucher was to roll on the speed dice. One of the rolls of the speed dice would give you a travel voucher. I decided to switch that to the white cards or reroll or roll modifier tokens so that you get a roll modifier token that way instead of a travel voucher. And of course, certain of the effects of the travel vouchers I'm moving to. Yeah, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the travel vouchers, honestly. Anyway, though, I'm here to do right now is figure out what special spaces I want to actually be on all the things. First off, we need to look at corner spaces. But I need to step away from the keyboard for a minute. Okay, back. Alrighty then. So, I guess I'm going to start by filling in the four ghost space effects, because those are things that I did actually decide on. You know what? I need to. Uh, I guess you could say do a polish on a certain aspect of terminology because I need to disambiguate everything so that people know just by looking at things whether you are getting money from the cash pool or getting it from the bank. Like in a traditional monopoly, they would have collect from the bank as a term, which, okay, as a term that works. That actually works quite well. I need to say a thing to differentiate when you draw from the cash pool. And you know what? I might just use that phrase draw from cash pool. Okay. I'm pretty sure that's in there, one of them. Oh, yeah, here it is. Super Monopoly. Collect 50% of cash pool. Yeah, it says it's phrased as collect, though, which, no, I'm not drawing, I'm not using collect. Again, disambiguation of terminology. Which, yes, 100% a gamism. However, it's needed in order to increase clarity of intent. And this is one that I personally made up just to be a minor variation of one of the others. Because again, it's like I decided that I wanted these to be different. These aren't. I'm not even copying Ultimate Monopoly. I'm using Ultimate Monopoly's corner spaces as inspiration. Alrighty then, back to this. But yeah, it's like if you land here, you get one value, the higher one. If you pass here, you get the lower value. I did that on two of them, which, since they have drastically different values, you know what? Makes it different. Also noteworthy is that the one in Super Monopoly is 250 or 300, which, I didn't use those numbers. Also, due to the number of spoke spaces, I need what are basically minor special spaces. And one thing that occurred to me is having the uh, warp zone style special spaces would actually be something that I can put on multiple places in the board. And I think that would actually be interesting because that is something I've seen in multiple variations of Monopoly. It was like Ultimate Monopoly has it in a minor fashion, of course, but it does have it. But there's several different editions that have the idea. It's like Megaopoly has what are actually called warp zones, where go to this, go to that, or something. Um, I don't remember the exact wording on it, but one of the things made by Mastermind Games is called Islandopoly. Actually, I'll see if I can pull that up. File open Mastermind Islandopoly. Which one of these is the one that's actually like a proper resolution? That's 2000. That's let's try this one first. So at first glance, it doesn't really look that interesting. Honestly, the main reason why I found this one fun is the names of the properties, because the fact that it has um, exotic locale sounding things. One thing that's interesting about this is it's actually smaller than a traditional Monopoly board, and all of the property groups only have two spaces in them. Another neat feature, though, is that they color coded spaces to tell you what kind of space it is. Like the brown spaces are the equivalent of corner spaces because this is a round board, obviously, because the globe is round, and this is a globe trotting board. The blue spaces and the red spaces are the equivalent of Monopoly Community Chest, or sorry, Chance and Community Chest. Then you have the utility spaces, which have a different color than the other ones. The equivalent of railroads, which also has a different color than every the other ones, and so on. Wait, hold on a second. This isn't the one that I was thinking it was. Crap, got the wrong one. There's one of them which has canal spaces, and you go from one canal space to another canal. And it's not this one. Dang it, I don't remember which one it was. Found several of these. Anyways, but the idea I had though was that if I'm going to put over a dozen of those on the board, making them very specific would possibly be a good thing. The catch, of course, is that it, you don't want them to be like go to Park Place, and where like everyone who lands on that space gets sent to Park Place. No, 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 no. It needs to be something more interesting than that. That's boring. My actual thought was basically just like have some of them as hooked up in a ring, but also it's like having it go in the uh a circle would be a little lame, but having them be like shuttle points, but where you just like go to somewhere completely different would actually be fun. Like the special spaces on ring 4B, I could have a special space on ring 4B do that. Like here. But see, like the problem here though is that like if it's like here is where you have the special space, it sends you to somewhere on ring 4B. That's not really a very large jump. Which is one of the problems with this idea, and something I need to figure out in order to make the warp zones work. I don't really consider it to be a massive problem, but it's one of those streamlining things, where you can just throw it out there and let people figure it out the hard way, or you can tinker with it and make it work a little bit better. Anyway, though, but like having a canal space that causes you to go from here to here, why not? Or even more interesting, having like a three-way one that goes here, 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 and then from here to back to here. That would work. Also, it could be a lot more erratic in the way they're arranged. I could actually have a giant token ring of canal spaces or warp zones where it's the warp zone. You know what? Having numbered warp zones is actually a good idea. Yeah, I'll give all of the warp zones numbers. I need to write that down. Okay, so like I was saying about the Islandopoly board, it's like warp zones get their own space color. Like, well, I mean, actually, Super Monopoly is a great example of that. Actually, I actually have the paint up. Good, 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 good. Well, I mean, it's not good because I actually wasn't supposed to have paint up right now, but what? Too late now. Da da da. Megaopoly. I know it's not the best designed one in terms of aesthetics, but in terms of the like extra large editions of Monopoly, this is the simplest to play one I've seen. And being simple to play is a major advantage in terms of having the game be fun. And as you see here, warp zones are clearly annotated by making them this red to yellow color gradient thing. I'm not going to do a color gradient. I don't like color gradients from a design standpoint, but yeah, like making them like an orange background on the spaces to warp zones. Sure. Now, this is different from Ultimate Monopoly's warp zones because of the fact that Ultimate Monopoly's warp zones are a one-way street. It's well, no, okay. It's a 2 point system where you go from point A to point B, or from point B to point A. You There's very little um, in terms of variety. However, the warp zone system is different in that regard. I am not, however, going to be copying the warp zone system for Megaopoly, in part because I don't actually know how it works. Yes, I have a copy of the Megaopoly rules. No, I didn't feel like reading them in detail enough to actually understand how warp zones work. You know what? Screw it. Fine. I'll read them. How do warp zones work? Number of teams, players, I don't care. Property improvement, whatever. That's just the regular stuff from Monopoly. Warp zones. Players landing on any space have a choice to warp the closest what if or pot of gold space on any level of their choosing on the same side of the board they're warping from. If Monopoly is used as one of the levels, then the community chest or chance spaces are considered the same as pot of gold or what if spaces. The warp zones at the ending of each level are also considered in this ruling. The warp zones at the end of a level and payday spaces at the beginning of a level spaces will be counted as one space. I still don't understand how that works. So when you land on go, does that? Oh wait, I was misunderstanding it. I was thinking that going past go, you had meant that you would automatically change board levels. Apparently, you don't. Interesting. Okay. Oh, timeout. Lame. Anyways, so for Megaopoly, in order to change boards at all off of the default game board, you have to land on go. You know what? I don't actually hate it, but the problem with this, of course, is the fact that if you start on the default Monopoly board, then that means that there's only one way to get off of that one to either the inner board or the outer board. I mean, it's not fundamentally a bad idea. I just question the efficacy of having a single point of entry. Because, like, see, it's like this is a warp zone space, but it's the only warp zone space that exists. Granted, the other warp zone spaces are basically the same spot, which is weird in a different way. Well, again, this is something that, for what I've heard, is actually fun to play, but in terms of complexity, he was avoiding making it more complicated. He made the game three times as big while doing as much as he could to avoid making it more complicated, which I appreciate that. I genuinely think that was not a bad idea. Anyway, though, I'm not going with that approach, so. But yeah, his idea of warp zones wouldn't work for me. I'm going to use the name warp zone, though, and I'm going to just like on each warp zone space is going to have instructions on where that warp zone space is going to send you, and I'm proud. I have this urge in the back of my head to borrow the map from the map concept from Robopon of all things. Okay, Robopon had this gimmick in it where you could use TVs to teleport around the map. However, there was a specific progression mechanic related to that. So we basically go from TV A to TV B to TV C, but there's several dozen of them, and they're not all connected at a single loop. And there's a certain TV that you can never exit from, and certain TVs you can enter from more than one place, and well, I don't remember the exact specifics. I haven't played that game in 20 years. Anyways, back to what I was saying. So my warp zones are not going to work that way. My warp zones are just going to be, they're going to tell you which one to go to, but it's not going to be a symmetrical system. It's going to do whatever. I might have some of them where there's a variability on where they go. It's like land here. If you land on an odd roll, go to one place. If you land on an even roll, go to the other place. You know what? I like that plan. Right now, what I need to do most, though, and the reason why I'm diagramming this like I am, is that I need to figure out how many warp zones to place on the board. Okay, this has an annotation that bus tickets are being equated with the yellow card deck. Travel vouchers, I'm also considering conflating those with bus tickets. What do the actual bus tickets even look like? I need to go look that up. Intimate Monopoly. Does this have the bus tickets on it? No, that's just the property deeds. Maybe it's filed under super. Okay, these are what the travel vouchers actually look like. Not what I'm looking for. That's the roll 3 cards, which I've decided I want to burn in hell. These are the additions to. You know what? I don't remember if these are supposed to be chance or community chest, and in any event, I don't actually care. What's the bus tickets? Nope. Those are just title deed cards. Those are more title deed cards. That's the board insert, which is not actually all that interesting. I know. I know. It's disappointing. The subway thing, though, is actually a good idea, especially if you want to speed up play. Where are bus tickets? Maybe they're filed under Mega Edition. Oh, yeah, it was a Mega Edition thing, which is an official product. Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to conflate bus tickets with travel vouchers. Hey, Polly, how you doing? Yeah. This is the brainstorming part of game development that people would normally just like sit in a dark room doing for hours. Boy. My goal here is to take bits and pieces from several different past editions of Monopoly and make them into something where I can. Wait, what was that? Oh, I scrolled off the board. Damn it. I drew this exceptionally large board and am currently in the process of figuring out what to put in on all of those spaces. Yes, regular Monopoly only has about 40 spaces on it. 41 if you count just visiting and in jail as separate spaces. What are the numbers I came up with on this again? Yeah. I think one of the math things that I did for this was basically concluded that I have like 500 or something spaces total or some gigantic number like that. Oh, seriously, where's the one where I have all of the numbers? Hmm. Oh, 264. But that doesn't include the spoke spaces. Okay, yeah. 264. 8 times 4, 32. So there's 32 spoke spaces. So there's nearly 300 spaces on this board. 96. Oh, that's right. If you put in the central area, that's another 3. So I think I actually literally have 299 spaces on this board that I drew up. Exciting, isn't it? Anyways, back to figuring out what all the special spaces are going to be. Okay, Toll Road, which is a lame pay $10. You know what? That fits like the sort of thing that you would have in Ring One. Yeah. Not as a corner space, though. No. It was one of the other two special spaces. You know what? I might do that. Yeah, yeah. See, unlike regular Monopoly, I don't have jail as a corner space. And that's actually one of those things that Megaopoly does is it actually has three different jails. Because which jail you get sent to depends on which ring of the board you're in. Ultimate Monopoly only has a single jail. But it's actually harder to get sent to jail in Ultimate Monopoly because of the fact that there's essentially less ways to get to jail. Like, sure, chance at community chest could send you to jail, but that's low odds of happening ever. And there's only one board space that sends you to jail. Hmm. I think I will actually have go to jail spaces on the spokes. I haven't decided where yet. But having go to jail spaces on um, ring corners does actually make sense. So yeah, I'll have go to jail here. I mean, ring two is the one that represents like the traditional Monopoly, anyways, which does in fact have a go to jail space on it. This spot here, though, is what would have been the jail space, which is not going to be jail space this time. Huh. This is what would have been free parking. When I will make this a warp zone. Okay, so warp zones. I think I will. Like, okay, this is something that Megaopoly did with warp zones. It's like having one in every ring. Yes, of course. Maybe more than one. Sure. Okay, that's fine at all. Oh, you know what? This thing from Megaopoly, I will put this over here. Okay, I'm going to mark things in green if it's something that I have used and don't feel like using again at this time. That's too light. There, that'll do. Okay, the subway from Monopoly Super. Hmm. I will actually put that on the backside of Ring 4. And I don't actually want to have more than one of those in the board. Okay, so Squeeze Play. Squeeze Play was a corner space in a Super Monopoly. Hmm. It's actually an inner ring space, and in Ultimate Monopoly, it's still an inner ring space. Okay, that's an idea. Okay, I want one of the things in Ring 1 to be Warp Zone, but it doesn't need to be a corner. Could put a Warp Zone here. Okay. Okay, what is Super Squeeze Play? Super Squeeze Play is basically just squeeze play, but with bigger numbers. Yeah. Okay, so squeeze play can get marked in green. Um, I did something that is essentially this, and it's not exactly the same, but I'm going to count it as used. Now, free parking and go to jail. Technically, those are things I'm not going to mark those in green yet because I haven't decided what I want. Okay, tunnels. Tunnels are basically are being folded into the concept of warp zones. I haven't finished those yet, so I'm going to leave that in black. Stock exchange. I want more than one. You know what? Super Monopoly has one on here, so I'll put one here. But again, I want there to be more than one, so I'm going to put one here too. Screw it. Oh, wait, this isn't a corner space. Whatever. Anyway, we'll see. Do I want there to be a stock exchange as a corner space on ring 4? Do I have a better idea for things to put on corner spaces on ring 4? No, and actually I don't. Okay, then. I will put stock exchanges as special spaces on 4 and 4B, though. Which is essentially preliminary, but whatever. Put one here, too. Fine, whatever. I might change my mind about having 6 stock exchanges. We'll see. Definitely not sure that 6 is the right number. But for now, I will call it good. Wait, wrong button. Okay, this is a go space. Already marked those off. Income tax. I did use this one already. Pay 75. Okay, I've not used luxury tax yet. The inner ring is actually currently full. Dun dun dun. Okay, I'll mark the entire inner ring in green. Ring 2. Ring 2, I have. Well, ring 2, this actually would make sense. Wait, I copied the wrong thing. Okay, cool. This is where free parking belongs. Not sure what I want to put in there yet. 2B. I actually have one space left in 2B. Only one. Yes, because like this is actually what's going to be where the jail would have been. This isn't where free parking would have been. I actually replaced free parking with warp zone. I could put in something here that involves gaining money though. Auction. Okay, I need to mark off luxury tax in dark green. Auction. Oh. I'm putting that on ring 3. Yeah, it's good. Okay, so this is something that got replaced with a gameplay feature. Okay, bus tickets, while the idea still exists, it's not a single space on the board. It's all of the yellow spaces. So I'm going to put this that because it's something that got repurposed to a different kind of gameplay mechanic. Birthday gift. You know what? I'll put that in ring 2B as the other item. Because like this is different from the regular draw a bus ticket one. And also is that the sub rings don't have yellow spaces where you can draw a bus ticket. However, also is that I changed what bus tickets are so that they don't necessarily, they're not quite as valuable in some ways. So, boy. Okay, so this one gets marked in green. Tax refund. I already put that out. Into ring 1. I did, however, change the way it's worded. I could put a second space like this on the board, so I'm not going to mark that off in black yet. Elevator. Draw a travel card. The white cards. I'm going to leave that in black. This is the sort of thing that I'm probably going to have multiple places on spokes or something like that. I'm not sure exactly. Ooh, reverse movement. You know what? I'll put that here. I'm not going to mark this black though because of the fact that I think having more than one of these would be good. Oh yeah, you know what? I'll put one in here. Okay, Cab Company from Ultimate Monopoly. I repurposed the idea of cab companies so that there's a lot more of them than there were in Ultimate Monopoly, which okay, realistically, cab company, as was used in Ultimate Monopoly, is functionally a variation of the concept of railroads. It's just that it's has a benefit to the player who lands on it, not just the player who owns it. Let's see here. Hide this. Tab to that. Open Ultimate Monopoly board. Yeah, see, Yellow Cab Company. If you're the person who owns it, you get rent when people land on it, and the person who lands on it, okay, they pay rent, but they also have to pay an additional fee to move to a space on the board. I decided to rework how that works to make it so that the amount of rent you pay determines how far ahead you can have the option to move. But that's a maximum value, not a minimum value. So if it lets you move up to 12 spaces, you can stop at 9 if you want. Um. Yeah. Just have the rules insert here. No. Okay, then. Well, whatever. So those are not going to be special spaces by the conditions of what I'm currently working on. So those get marked in yellow because that is repurposed as a different kind of game feature. Megaopoly has a toll. Oh, right. I copied this for that. Never mind. That one counts as placed. Warp zones. Yeah, major feature. We're working on that. Federal tax. Placed that one already. IRS audit. Okay, I put this one. Yeah, okay. IRS audit is a flat 150. So, you know what? Screw it. I will put it here. Which means ring 4 is now full. Okay, I need a third one for ring 4B. Oh, I didn't do the cattle drive one yet. You know what? Screw it. I'll go with the collect 150. Actually, on second thought. There. Easier to read that way. Okay. I might not put them in the same order, but whatever. Anyways, moving on. So, 4B is now done. What do we have left? Ring 3. 1, 2, 3, 4 corners. Corners are all done. Okay, both its special spaces are done. Okay, so ring 3 is green. I need a special space for ring 4. Oh, wait, no. I need a corner space for ring 4C and a special space for ring 4C. Yeah, you know what? This amuses me. Oh, I used this one already. Fine. I'll do a different number. Yeah. And of course, I'm going to put this on the opposite side of the board from the go space. I do need to put something here. Oh, you know what? I don't have a warp zone. Oh, right. I didn't put. I I have three spaces that I would like to put warp zones in, but they're too close to each other. I call this good though because this does have a warp zone and it also has the other stuff in it. Okay. Hmm. You know, having one of these be a warp zone is actually a good idea. Hmm. Yeah, that works. This though, I can't just make two of the corners of it warp zones. No. Stock exchange is a good idea. I don't need there to be that many stock exchanges though. You know what? Screw it. This is actually a good idea. Still need another idea for a special space on Ring 2. You know what? There. That, I think, is adequate. Yeah. Now I can mark Ring 2 in green. Okay, so how many warp zones do I have? Okay, warp zone 1, warp zone 2, zone 3, warp zone 4. I might redefine some of the stock exchanges as warp zones. Might, not sure. Seriously, I put 6 of them out there. I'm not sure that was a good idea, but we'll find out. Yeah, this is only 5 warp zones. Whatever. Warp zones are something that would be a good option to put on rings. So, or not rings, but spokes. So having only 5 warp zones as part of rings, yeah, I could work with that. So, now that I have decided what I want to have as the corner spaces and special spaces in the various rings and sub rings, I'm going to fill those in on the layout sheet. Okay, so taxi, that's basically just like railroad but different. So I'm color group. That's okay. Corner space. Oh, I did say I wanted to have squeeze play as one of the corner spaces here. Did I as? Oh, okay. I have that as like the second one here. Whatever. For this version, I'll just put stock exchange. As number 2, I guess. Whatever. No big deal. Okay, so this one, the fourth one is draw half of cash pool. Okay, trash collection, that's a utility. I really should color code these. I really should. Oh wait, that's right. I didn't actually think of it. What color coding I want to use for the things. Uh-huh. What was Islandopoly doing again? I'm not necessarily going to actually stick with the color scheme used by Islandopoly, but it does seem like it might be useful for it. So, some small amount of inspiration. Okay, that was a very, very small amount of inspiration. Hmm. Okay, pale blue would be the special spaces. Okay. Like proper special spaces would be pale blue. Okay, so special one. What was this again? Pay $10. Uh, oh, it did actually overwrite the background color. Aw. I want to lose a lighter shade of blue for this. Hmm. Actually, if the text was black, this wouldn't be a big deal. It's less of an issue with black text. It's still too dark of a blue. Ah. That's actually the lightest blue that it has in this section here. Fine. Cyan. Okay then. You know what? These here also get to be cyan. Oh, that's a different cyan, I think. Anyway, squeeze play and this are corner spacers. Which If you look at Islandopoly, those are the dark brown ones. Islandopoly actually puts gold text on the dark brown ones just to make it so you can read the text. Yeah, I could do that actually. Do I want to, though? Or do I want to use the color known as chart 3? You know what? Chart 3 works. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to just like highlight all of the things that are corner spaces. And put all of them to have the background color of chart 3. Yeah, this deep green color here, this is actually just to signify that that's a divider and not an actual space. Okay, so I honestly feel like taking a nap right now, but not right now. Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot. These are not railroads. I had the idea of making them railroads, but then I did math and realized that it doesn't work because math says no. It's unfortunate. It was a cool idea, but the math says no. Okay, so all right, I need to fill in what is the second special space on ring 1. Which is a warp zone. Keep alt tabbing. It doesn't work. That was the text color. No. Whatever. Adequately readable. And okay, that is ring 1 complete. Yeah, there's only one space in ring 0. Doesn't matter. Anyway. All right, ring 2. Okay, so the gray spaces are where I am connecting a sub ring to the main ring, or a spoke to a sub ring. Basically, just any space that has more than 2 connections. Like, there's only one thing on the board that only has one connection. That's the jail, which is why you can't move towards the jail ever. But that's an exception. Everything else has 2 or more, up to 4. The gray ones are ones that have more than 2, either 3 or 4. There's actually a surprisingly large number of them that have 4. Because it's like all of the ones in rings 2 and 3 where it's spokes connecting to the ring. because the fact that it goes ring 1, 2, 3, 4, it's like a straight spoke going all the way from ring 1 to ring 4. It just goes straight through rings 2 and 3. And depending on your dice roll, you might actually move straight from ring 1 to ring 4. It can happen. Wait, no, it can't. Never mind. Let's look at that again. No, yeah, see, here it is. Okay, you would go from ring 1 to ring 4B. Not to actually like ring 4, but it's still, it's like next time you move forward and you end up in ring 4. So it's like if you are here and you get an 11, 1, 2, yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. You would land right here. Yep, yep, yep. Do I think this is a bad thing? Not really. It's just a basic game design thing. Now, one thing you could do if you wanted to prevent this is to make it so that the connections between spokes um, alternate between orientation, where I currently am working with the idea of having it so that odd numbers always push you along a spoke and even numbers always keep you in the same ring where you're in. That's the idea that I'm currently working with to make it simple, because I don't want people to have to read the board every single time they do one of these transitions. I want to have a general vague rule where people could just remember how all of those work. Anyway, though, that's what the gray spaces are. I haven't figured out names for railroads, but I've figured out where all the railroads are going to be for now. Unless I change my mind again. But why did I mark it as Ring 2B having 4 railroads? That doesn't make any freaking sense. Oh, and speaking of which, I need to look back at the sheet where I did all of the math. Oh! Oh! Yeah, never mind. Crap. I second guessed myself too many times. Cripes. This is not supposed to be here. This is supposed to be here. One of the versions of me mathing this, I did actually remath it so that I had proper stuff for railroads here. I did multiple versions of this. I did at one point decide that I did want to do that. Cripes. Well, now I feel dumb. Whatever. Doesn't change this one iota. It does change this, though, because these are actually going to be railroads now. Because the color groups... Yeah. Basically, what it was, I decided to reduce the size of the color groups to add railroads, and I have multiple places where I had a breakdown of what all of the stuff was, and I didn't update all of them and forgot which one was the current one. Apparently, it was this one that has railroads in the 4B. So I changed it so that 4B will have color groups that only have 4 properties in them, because each sub ring segment has a number of 7. It's like there's like 7 different spaces in it. One of the one is the spoke attachment point, which is going to be a railroad. And I think I decided to do this because the fact that except for ring 1, all of the spoke attachment points are railroads. That was the reason why I did that. Okay, well, that should work then. Yeah, it's forgetting my own plans. I hate it. Yeah, I just like mislocated this one thing and completely screwed up my own planning. Yeah, yeah. Um, this thing I did of the breakdown says 29 railroads plus taxis. Um, 16 railroads and 11 taxis? Hang on a second. That's math wrong. Yeah, I only have 11 taxis. This math says I should have more than 11. No. Okay. Hmm. Oh, I'm just going to count the total board spaces again, just for verification that I have this math done right. Oh, actually, you know what? Screw it. I'm not doing that here. I am going to do it here. Okay, that's 12. So I'm going to put this down at 26. Okay. What is the actual number of total spaces in ring 1? compared to the uh, allocated stuff. Yeah, fuck it. So when you look at ring one, each side is only 4 long. So 4 sides times 4, that is a total of 16 spaces. Um, Actual total here is 16 then. What do I have allocated? I have 8 2 times 4 property groups, 4 corners, and 1, 1, 2. So I do actually have 16 allocated. Good. Those match. Okay, ring 2. Um, 24 for properties in color groups. Actually, hang on. Let's make sure this actually matches. Like, okay, so on here it says I have 48 spaces for ring 2, which sounds right. Well, I'm going to double check that though. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 times 4. Yeah, that'll be 48. Okay. So my PowerPoint says 48 for ring 2. 24 of those will be properties in color groups. 4 will be corners. 4 will be railroads. That gives me 32. And leaves me with 16 spaces for other stuff. 4 blue, 4 yellow. That leaves 8 left. 2 taxis, 2 utilities, 4 special. 0. Okay, is that actually what I have here? 24. Okay, it's down to 24. 20, 16, 12, 8, 4, 2, 0. Okay. Cool. I know. Re-verifying my own math like this is boring, and I wish I didn't have a reason to do it. Ugh. Okay, so what is what I have allocated here? 3 times 4, 12. 16, 17, 18, 20. I have allocated here is 20. What was the actual that I calculated previously? 20. What is the actual that I see just looking at the board? What on earth just happened? My alt tabbing went insane. Okay, there are 4 sections of subring, each of which has 5, so that is in fact 20 spaces. Good. Okay. Ring 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14 times 4. So that'd be 56. What does my PowerPoint say? 56. So 56 is the actual here. Okay, so 4 times 8 is 32. So 56 minus 32, that leaves me with 24. 4 for corners, 20 minus 4 for railroads, 16. 12, 8, and then 3, 3, 2. So that's 0. Okay, 56 it is. Okay, so this version of the chart that I have in my PowerPoint does not actually have a ring for C. I hadn't come up with that idea yet. Ring 4B, though, does have 28. Yeah, each of the 4 segments is 7 long, so blah, 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 whatever. 4 times 4 is 16. Plus 4 is 20, plus another 4 is 24, plus another 4 is 28, and that is math properly. Now I need to update the PowerPoint to have ring 4C in it. Which is mildly annoying, actually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Which is exactly the same number of spaces as ring 4B. 28. Okay, so 16 properties get filed into color groups. Corners are relocated to ring 4C because, yeah, there are no railroads in ring 4C. Oh, cripe. What did I decide I wanted to do with the taxis and all that shit? Okay, ring 4B has no taxis, but ring 4C has 2 taxis. Okay. Uh, hmm. Oh yeah, this also brings up the question of how many of the yellow and brown cards are in ring 4C now, because when I originally came up with the yellow and brown card distributions, ring 4C didn't exist. I need to figure that out now. Ah! Well, that's the reason why I verify my own work. If I don't verify my own work, it stops working. Simple as that. I guess that's a 68. 68 feels wrong, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Okay, 17 times 4, that would actually be 68. Let's see, reduce this by 16, which would drop it down to 44, I guess. That also sounds wrong. Okay, how many utilities and special things did I put in here for Ring 4C? One utility, one special. So Ring 4 still has 4 utilities in it, and 2 special. Did I mention that I've gotten to the point of all of the nope? No? Well then, I have. Okay, so I decided to move 2 brown and 2 yellow into Ring 4C. So that each of the 4 segments of Ring 4C would have 1 brown or 1 yellow in it. Okay, sure, that kind of works. Okay. Golly. None of rejiggering I've had to do here is more than I expected. But I think the amount of hopefully I hope the amount of effort will be worth it in the end. I really can't say that I expect it to at this point, honestly. Frack! My math is somehow wrong. Oh, I think the 44 CG figure is wrong. Uh, wait. What do I even have as the CG for Ring 4 anyways? 40. Oh! Yeah, I have it has 5 times 8. Okay, so Ring 40 is supposed to have 68 total. Does it? All right, well, let's do the math. 4 times 4 is 16, plus 4 for the corner spaces. That ups it to 20. 2 taxis is 22. 2 brown is 24. 2 yellow is 26. 1 utility, 1 special ups it. The grand total is indeed 28. Cool. Good so far. 5 times 8 on color groups. Okay. That gives me a starting point of 40. Add 4 railroads, that ups it to 44. Um, 2 taxis is 46. 6 brown spaces is 52. 6 yellow spaces is 58. 2 special spaces is 60. And then 4 utilities is 64. Nope, that doesn't count right. This is mathing out to 64. Something is wrong. I don't understand that, and I don't like that. Mm. Oh, now that's actually right. Mm. I really don't know what I screwed up here. 4 plus 2 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6. That's 24. Mm. I'm genuinely not sure. I thought the numbers added up on the previous version of this, but I am now going to undo all of these typing that I did on my thing. And actually, hold on. Step one, verify the actual size. Wait, I did that already. Never mind. That was actually correct. I did that actually twice. So what the flip did I have that actually added up before? Okay, so we start with 60 plus 4 corners plus 4 railroads plus 4 taxis plus 8 yellow cards plus 8 brown cards plus a combination of 8 utilities and special spaces. That adds up to 96. It's the color group difference. Yeah, it's the color group difference. On here, I set it as 5 times 8 color groups. However, the previous older version of it actually had 60 as the allocation for color groups, which is in fact not divisible by 8 because of the fact that I had the idea of actually having 12 color groups for the outer ring, each of which would have 5 properties in it, so that it was actually 12 times 5. Then I did the subring thing, which reduced the property count. And I didn't compensate for that properly. Well, now I have the dumb. Yeah, see, because like what I did was, you see here how it says 5 times 8. Well, the actual size of the color groups that I have in the sub rings is 4, when it, in theory, should be 5, due to that's the number of things I was moving from the number of properties I pulled off of the main ring. to compensate for that, I would just have less special stuff. But quite frankly, that would actually make it so that most of the stuff in the sub ring is actually, you know, because of the fact that the sub rings are going to be capped on both ends by things that are non-properties, I don't really need to worry too hard about how many properties are in the corner sub rings, I guess. So I just need to move. Boy. Yeah, there's a reason why I decided I wanted to have the sub rings at 4. Because if I have them at 5, they're going to be almost solid wall-to-wall color group properties. Like 3 here, and then on the other side, like one, skip one, and then another one. That's the reason why I decided I wanted to have them at 4. It's because of just how densely packed they would be otherwise. Uh, the, of course, catch to this here is that the other option is to make it so that ring 4, instead of having 5 times 8, it's 5.5 times 8, which is actually totally doable. That is actually totally doable. I can work with that. It's not something I actually personally consider to be an ideal solution, but it does solve the problem of having 4 too few spaces, or rather, not having allocations for those 4 spaces. This fixes that, and now it's good. Okay, fine. Plus 4, plus 2, plus 6, plus 6, plus 6. 68. Okay, the maths now. All right. Uh, but this is part of the reason why I did this is I need to double check and make sure all the stuff is good so that I don't have to fix it later. Made an arbitrary decision and didn't think through the arbitrary decision that I made, and now weeks later, after I forgot what the actual logic was behind the arbitrary decision, I realized that I'd not actually compensated for my own choice. How long am I streaming anyways? Oh, it's over 2 hours. That's because I'm starting to feel tired. And I'm not even close to done with this. Ah! Okay, so I'm going to fill in the special stuff at least, because I have actually decided what I want that to be. Okay, so the special stuff for Ring 2. Alrighty then. Well, that's something. I might have more coded jail spaces on the spokes. It feels like I should have more than one. I do genuinely want people to have multiple reasons to hang on to get out of jail free cards because in classic Monopoly, get out of jail free cards are kind of a joke. No one really needs them. And giving people an additional motive to hang on to them just in case they would be inconvenienced by going to jail. Because in this game, going to jail, much like in Ultimate Monopoly, means changing the zone of board you're on, which in Ultimate Monopoly is a greater inconvenience than you would think. Here, it means getting put into ring 0, which is inconvenient. All right, so where are the locations that I'm going to put the special spaces in ring 2? Actually, I have no idea. Anyways, well, the special spaces are. I actually have 4 of them. So since there's 4 of them, I'm going to make an effort to put one of them on each of the sides of the board. So like this part between this yellow space and this yellow space here, that's one side of the board. You know what? This is the classic location for the tax space. So it goes here. Pay $75. That would traditionally be on side 4. Um, Railroad, yeah, somewhere over here. But it could be a gray space. That is actually a thing to remember here. Is that gray spaces count. So I'll put it here in the gray space. It's like gray spaces aren't just filler that's empty. There's stuff that goes in them. That is actually a good place for that. So cool. We can have it there. Yeah, I might actually have some of the gray spaces end up being card draw spaces. It's like I don't really have a good reason to not do that. The only thing I don't want to have there are color grids. Okay, so side 2. Yeah, I'll put the warp soda somewhere in side 2. Um, oh right, I have a corner space as one of the warp zones. Oh, oh, am I? Hmm. 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 You know what? I'll put the warp zone here. Now I could swap the luxury tax space with the warp zone space. Mm. I don't really feel like it though. Yeah. I mean, those are kind of sort of on the same side of the board, kind of. Uh, yeah, you know what? I'll do that. There we go. Okay. And then there's a draw white card space. Yeah, you know what? This just feels like a good place to put it. There. Okay, now, you know what? To mark the fact that I have done these, I'm going to turn them blue. Mm, okay, 2B. Hey, hang on. What else was putting in 2B anyway? One utility, one taxi stop. Ew, okay. So anything that doesn't have a taxi or anything that doesn't get a special space is going to get either a taxi stop or a utility. Okay. Okay. Okay, so 2B, section 1. Okay, so one of the stock exchanges is going to one of the stock exchanges is going to be here. So I don't want to, the stock exchange that I put on the ring to be in here. I think putting it over here would be good. To be a second space in segment 4, I guess. Yeah. I think I'm going to number them 1, 2, 3, 4. So either the end of segment 3 or the beginning of segment 4. You know, I'll go with the end of segment 3. Okay, so to be segment 1, segment 2, segment 3, I will put it here. Get $100 for a bus ticket. I'll put that at the beginning of segment 1. Okay. Oh yeah. Wait, what was actually the Oh, I'll go worry about the utilities later. I will, however, choose one of these to put a taxi in. You know what? Right about here sounds like a good place for a taxi. Yeah. This one gets to be a taxi. Which means that over here somewhere is going to be utility. This needs to be marked red because of the fact that it is a wildcard value and not a final value. Railroads don't count as wild cards. They're a different kind of placeholder. Taxis don't even have names. Yeah, seriously, all the taxi spaces just say taxi stand on them. To be honest, railroads don't need names either. They really don't. Now, if you had a uh, card telling you to go to a specific taxi stand, that would actually be somewhat meaningful, I suppose. Then you would have a reason to have names for the taxi stands. I'll worry about that later. I can always retrofit it to add names, I guess. Anyways, back to what I was doing. So, done with ring 2B, so I can mark this in blue. All right, so ring 4C. Okay, then. Now, where am I going to put the special spaces? Because, yeah, those exist. Now, for ring 3, I actually ended up with only 2 special spaces. I'm not sure how that happened, but it did. One of which is, you know what? This is a thing that makes sense to have. Because it's kind of traditional to have spaces like this where you pay a percentage of your income uh, near the go space. I'll put it here. Not exactly the most traditional location. A more traditional location would be over here. But, yeah, whatever. Oh, wait, no. Never mind. This is actually the closer to the traditional space because um, community chest is over here. This is where the tax space is. Anyways, warp zone. Okay, so that's side 1. You know what? Screw it. I'll just put on side 3. I like the back half of side 3. Okay, well, let's call that good. Okay, so the corner spaces for ring 4. Okay, there we go. Mm. Now for the really fun part. Ah. Yeah, the fun part was sarcasm. Blah, blah, blah. Whatever. Okay. Why do I keep alt tabbing? That doesn't work. So, one of the parts of the of one of these sub rings. So ring 4C on the opposite side of the board from the Go space. Has a collect 200 space. It just occurred to me that my diagram here does not actually have ring 4C separate from ring 4. Oh well. You know what? I'll just put it right here. Yeah. Okay, so, now I just need to put the rest of the parts of ring 4. One of them is a stock exchange. Okay, so stock exchange. I want to put that someplace where it's not actually all that close to the corner space. It's also a stock exchange. You know what? Screw it. I just dump it right here. Ooh, you know what? I like this spot. Yeah, this should be pretty close to on the opposite side of the board. Wait, hold it. I need to mark all of the places that have stock exchanges. Ah, screw it. It's not going to be that close. I can change this stuff later. This isn't actually finalized. This is just me moving a step closer to a final version. A pay 150 space, just somewhere in the regular ring. You know what? Whatever. We'll throw it here. Blue. Keep doing that. That's the wrong button. All right, now I need to put another stock exchange out. Yeah, ring 4 actually has 3 stock exchanges. Who knew? Oh, wait, no, actually. Anyways, moving on. So, I have a stock exchange in corner 1, or near corner 1, a stock exchange on corner 3. So, I would want to have the third stock exchange on, I guess, either Arc 2 or Arc 4. Yeah, put it on Arc 2. Collect 150. I don't. Well, that's the other thing. Is I also have 2 different collect spaces here. I put a stock exchange on Arc 2. Um, mm, you know what? I guess I also put the other collect space on Arc 4, which is the one like second before the corner. With the collect space on it, so that should work. When moving off this space, move backwards. Yeah, I'll just put that in arc 3. Okay. Now I'm done with the special spaces. I did it again. Okay. I'm only up to 5 warp zones, but I can put warp zones in the spokes, so that should be fine. Man, the amount of rejiggering stuff you need to do to make this stuff work is impressively annoying. Alrighty then. Well, I'm going to call it here. I'm going to guess that most of the people who were watching this, or formerly watching this, did not have all of that much fun watching it and found it to be boring because of the fact that none of them are still watching. Which well, guess I'm just boring like that. Pity. Oh well.